Hello guys, from this video we are going to study the meridian and collaterals. In the basic theories, in these few weeks, we have studied the philosophies, 脏腑 organs, and the qi, blood, body fluids, and also the actual organs. All these organs is like the actual or physical structure of the body. So when we study one by one, and then one organs by one organs, and then what's the relationship between each other and how they can be connected to each other. Although we said that from the qi, blood, body fluids, they can nourish all the organs and tissues of the body. But how? Then that's the knowledge we begin to discuss here, the meridian and collaterals. How do the blood, how do the qi, blood, qi, and body fluids nourish different organs, different tissues? That's through meridian and collaterals. Actually, because acupuncture, the theories of acupuncture is based on philosophy. This reason or this fact actually perfectly avoids the limitation of the science. For instance, from general medicine, like now, from the COVID-19, the pandemic, before the science, before the medical team, they figure out what's the cause, such as the coronavirus. They won't be able to know how to treat the virus. But from Chinese medicine and acupuncture, how we can treat the virus infection, how can we treat this kind of pandemic before we know what kinds of virus? That's due to the fact that in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, we more based on philosophy, and then because of this fact, we can study the laws of these diseases. How does it happen, and then what's the development, how the disease is going to develop without knowing the materials, the physical substance, physical materials of what it is. That this is very similar to the qi, the blood, body fluids. When we study the qi previously in the philosophy, we don't focus on what's the qi exactly, but we focus on the function of the qi, the movement, the laws of the qi. That's so from the meridian and collaterals, these are also from the philosophy. These are the pathways of qi and blood, where qi and blood moves. That's exactly why, even until today, there's many scientists, they try to figure out what's meridian and collateral. Until now, there's no perfect answers to this question. So in this topic of the meridian and collaterals, we're going to focus on the general introduction, the main meridian, and then also the actual meridians. We're going to study one by one of the meridians. The meridians and collaterals we're going to study specifically in our second years in acupuncture and moxibustion. So from there, we're going to study more in details of each meridian, of each acupoints, the spots on the meridian. That's from the second year when we study acupuncture and moxibustion. But from the basic theories, we're going to introduce to you that's the general distribution of a meridian, the general characters of a meridian. And then this information will make you much easier for your future study. So let's see what's meridian and collaterals. It is a system of pathways throughout the body. So it's a pathway, something can move. The meridian have clear defined pathways so that it can connect the internal and external areas of the body, while the collaterals they are finer branches. So from these two statements, you will see meridian and collaterals. They are kinds of pathways, and they connect internal and external areas of the body. What's the internal and external areas? The internal areas refers to the internal organs. The organs in our body, that's something we don't see, we can't see. And then the external areas, such as our superficial skin, different organs. What's the relationship between each other and how does it work? That's from the concept of meridian and collateral. That's something we're going to study now. So from 黄帝内经, it described as internally the 12 principal meridian, or sometimes they call the 12 main meridian or principal meridian, connect with the 脏腑 organs and externally with the joints, limbs, and other superficial tissues of the body. The 12 meridians run through deeply in the muscles, and the collaterals runs on the surface of the body and are easy to see. So from this statement, you can see what's the function of the meridian, or what's the characteristic of meridian. They connect with the organs, that's internal area, and externally with the joints, limbs, and other superficial tissues. So the meridian is actually the connection between the organs and our superficial body. It's kind of a connection. That's exactly why when we study the different organs, the relationship among the organs, and also the relationship between the organs and the superficial body, how do they connect each other? Or the qi, the blood, and the body fluid, how can they nourish different organs? Through where? Which pathways distributes the qi, the blood, that's from the meridian. So that's something we're going to study now. And the main meridian runs through the muscles. Collaterals on the surface. 难经 is another classic. The meridians move blood and qi and ensure the free flow of yin and yang, so that the body is properly nourished. So for 难经, it described that the qi and blood move through the meridian to other organs to nourish the body. So from this, both of these two books describe that the first is the connection. The connection from the internal organs to the superficial body. And the second is what's in meridian, what moves within the meridian. That's the qi and blood, which is going to nourish the body. Here's one picture of the distribution board box. Our meridian and collaterals work quite similar to this box. This box, the dB box, is the main power supply of the property. And then this power supply, different switches, they related to different plugs, different lights, or some goes directly to the geyser, some directly go to the oven. So each switches go to different areas. I actually was so afraid of this stuff, especially when something goes wrong and the switch jumped. So for me, if I have to fix this, I have to turn off the main switch, which is the red one. But sometimes it's quite inconvenient, because if something happens in the evening, then you turn off the main switch, there's no light. And then if you want to fix other stuff, it becomes quite difficult. But for the electrician, they don't have to turn off the main switch. They can read from the plan of the property, and then they will know which switches for which area. They can keep everything on except the one with problems, and it will make their life much easier in that condition. But how can the electrician do? But we can't. The reason is because we don't know which switch go to where. And from the picture on the right side, there's some switches on the wall. There's some lights on the ceiling. In most cases, if you want to switch on the lights, you touch the lights or do you touch the switches on the wall? In most cases, we're going to use the switches on the wall. But how can the switches on the wall control the lights? That's the cable in between. But most of the case, we don't see the cable, right? So this is very similar to our meridian and collaterals. The meridian and collaterals, in the picture on the right side, the lights are very similar to our internal organs, and the switches on the wall are similar to the acupoints on our skin. That's exactly how we treat the skin. We treat the problem, the diseases from the acupoints, which are on our superficial skin, to treat the diseases from different organs. But what's important here is you will need to know which cable from which switch go to which lights. That's exactly why we need to study the meridian and the collaterals, because the meridian and collaterals are also work quite similar to the switches, because the cable work very similar. The meridian and collaterals work very similar to the cable. The cable is the connection between the switches to the lights, and there's something move in the cable. That's the electricity. Our meridian and collaterals is the connection between our superficial skin to internal organs. And what's moved in the meridians and collaterals is the qi. So here's a picture of the meridian. The meridian are the pathways through which qi and blood circulates in human bodies. They connect with zang and fu organs, linked with the superficial body. So it's very similar. This meridian from the fingertip and travels all the way up to the shoulder and then to the head. But you can see from the broken lines, the blue one, it travels down in the body, and this is connects. This line, the broken line, connects to the internal organs. That's the internal organs connection with the superficial skin, and this is very similar. As you can see, the railway map on the right side. That's the imagination or future plan from Hao Chen, and then it looks quite good as the different lines go to different destination, but there's some spots on the lines. These are the stations where people gather together, and then there's some intersection where they can transfer to the other line. And these railways are very similar to the meridian. And then the qi and blood, they gathered. The qi and blood is very similar to the people who travel on the Hao train. They gather to the station, and the train will take them to different destinations. They also can transfer in the intersection station. That's why we got so many spots on our body. But from here, from the spots are quite important in terms of acupuncture treatments. But this information we're going to study in the second years and in the acupuncture session. From here, from the basic theories, what's important for you is you need to know the flow. You need to know the railways. You don't have to know the station. From the second year, you have to know each station. But for now, you have to know the railways. Which the blue line go to where, the red line go to where, and the green line go to where. So because if you remember, if you study the railways, the lines now, it will make your life much easier when you study the stations on each lines. Because in that case, you just put the stations on the lines, which you already familiar with. So we're going to focus on the railways, the flow in basic theory. So what are included in the system of meridian and collaterals? The whole system includes the meridians, collaterals, and accessory parts of a meridian. And then the meridian itself can be divided into the 12 principal meridians, 8 extra meridians, 12 divergent meridians. The collaterals can be divided into the 15 connecting collaterals, the tertiary collaterals, and superficial collaterals. The accessory parts, there are two accessory parts. One is the 12 meridian sinews. The second is the 12 cutaneous regions. So we're going to introduce one by one of all these meridians and accessory. These are the 12 principal meridians. The long meridian of hand, Tai Yin. The large intestine meridian of hand, Yang Ming. The stomach meridian of foot, Yang Ming. The spleen meridian of foot, Tai Yin. The heart meridian of hand, Sao Yin. The small intestine meridian of hand, Tai Yang. The bladder meridian of foot Yangming, the kidney meridian of foot Shaoyin, the pericardial meridian of hand Jueyin, the Sanjiao meridian of hand Shaoyang, gallbladder meridian of foot Shaoyin, the liver meridian of foot Jueyin. Don't be scared of the names. As you can see here, we gave you 12 the principal meridians, the names of them. It looks quite complicated, and then you can see if you want to study them, it's very similar. If I want to know, if I want to get to know of you, the first thing I need to do is I need to remember your name. If I know your name, it'll be much easier for me to get to know or to remember you. So same as here, the first thing you need to know is to remember the name. As you can see previously, in the previous slides, all the meridian, the names consist of the organs, which we have studied in the Zangfu organs. So such as here, this meridian is the heart meridian. The organs, the heart meridian of hand, of foot, and then yin or yang. So the naming of the meridian consists of 3 parts: the organs, hand or foot, and yin or yang. So these 3 aspects. The first one, it tells us this meridian goes to which organs, or this meridian links to which organs. For instance, the heart meridian. This meridian links to the heart directly. So organs. The second is the hand or foot. So the name includes the organs, the hand or foot, yin or yang. There are 6 hand meridians, 6 foot meridians. So it indicates the meridian travels to the hands or to the feet. Yin and yang. When we study yin and yang, we got different tones for the qi. With the qi, we separate yin and yang according to their activities or how active they are. And in yang or in yin, we also got different tones to describe the volume of yang or yin. Yang Ming, the first one, Yang Ming has the most yang. Tai Yang have the medium volume of yang. Sao Yang, Sao is junior. Junior Yang have the least of yang. Tai Yin, Sao Yin, Jue Yin. Tai Yin also big yin. Tai in Mandarin, Tai means big. Tai Yin is big yin, so you got large volume of yin. Sao Yin is junior. You got less yin compared with Tai Yin. Jue is lack. So it means lack of yin. So here, compared with junior yin, compared with Sao Yin, Jue Yin got even less. That's why they got in orders from more to less. That's the yin and yang. That's why we got different names for the yin and yang. And let's come back to the 12 principal meridians, the name of them. The long meridian of hand, Tai Yin. So this name, the first one, it means this meridian links to the lung and travels to the hand, belong to Tai Yin. Tai Yin have the most of Yin. The large intestine meridian of hand Yangming. This meridian links to the large intestine, travels to the hand, and the volume of Yin and Yang. You have medium volume. You have the larger volume of Yang. The third one, the stomach meridian of foot Yangming. It means that this meridian links to the stomach meridian, travels to the foot, and also have large volume of Yang. So the other names are quite similar. The organs which the meridian links to, the hand or foot, and the volume of Yang or Yin. So from these 12 meridian, you can separate them into a hand meridian or foot meridian. In hand meridian, there are 6, which 3 are Yin meridian. 3 of them are Yang meridian. The lungs Tai Yin meridian, pericardium Jue Yin meridian, heart Shao Yin meridian, Yang, the large intestine Yangming meridian, Sanjiao meridian of Shaoyang, small intestine of Taiyang. The yin and yang, yin or yang, how to determine the yin or yang is actually determined by the organs. You can see from here the yang organs, they all full organs, which empty inside, empty is yang, solid is yin, right? So the zhang organs are the yin organs, and then the full organs are yang organs. That's why we use yin and yang. If you remember zhang full organs, which we have studied previously, then you will understand the yin and yang here. So that's exactly why you need to revise. The more the better. You need to remember the information we have introduced in the previous videos or previous classes. The reason is the information we introduced previously, that's the information we're going to use now and for future study. For instance, here, if you remember zhang organs, the zhang organs are the yang organ, are the yin organs. Then you don't have to remember it. You don't actually need to think about the lung, the pericardium, the heart, the spleen, the liver, the kidney. They're all yin organs. And then from here, this is something you don't have to remember. All what you need to remember is Tai Yin, the volume of each. Jue Yin, Shao Yin. So it will make it much easier for you to remember one of them. And that's exactly why you need to remember all this now. And then for the next year, it will be much easier for you to study. Because when you know the flow of a meridian, when you study the acupoints, it will make you much easier. You don't need to study the flow and the points. You only need to study the points, and then you put the points on the meridian. So the 12 main meridian or 12 principal meridians include 3 hand meridian, 3 hand yin meridian, 3 hand yang meridian, also 3 foot yin meridian and 3 foot yang meridian. The yin and yang, the yang meridian, here, they are the full organs. The yin meridians are zang organs. As you can see here, triple energizer. That's sanjiao. So sanjiao, due to different translation, there's some translation differently. Sometimes they translate to triple energizer or triple bonus or sanjiao. They're all the same, just different translation. Okay, so the yin meridian and yang meridian. We're going to learn the distribution. Where are these meridians? The first, from the name, you can know that the meridian links to which organs. And then if you want to remember where they are, so the yin and yang, although the yin and yang belongs to the zang organs or full organs, or how we determine the yin and yang of the meridians, that's due to the zang organs or full organs. There's also another way to confirm the yin and yang nature of the meridian. That's from the distribution. So in order to learn the distribution, we're going to introduce the anatomical position in Chinese medicine. On the picture on the right side, that's the standard anatomical position in your anatomy. So a person, they stand upright, your palm is facing forward. That's the standard position in your anatomy. But in Chinese medicine, the position is a slightly different. The person also stands upright as the one in the picture, but instead of facing forwards the palm, we're going to turn the palm 90 degrees. We're going to turn the palm facing each other. So it's very similar when you make the applause. You facing each other, you put on the sides of your hip, but the palm, instead of facing forwards, you just turn the palm facing each other. The palm is facing your hip. This is the anatomical position of Chinese medicine. In this case, you can actually divide our human body into yin and yang, because in this position you will have something inside and outside. The inside yin, the outside is yang. The yin meridian. In the extremities, the yin meridians travels inside of the medial sides. It would be much easier to use the medical term, the medial sides of limbs. So the medial sides means here, this side. So the palm is facing the hip. It turns 90 degrees facing each other, the palm. The arm still the same. The medial sides of the arm, the medial side of the legs. So it travels in this area. And in the body, compared with the front parts, the chest and the abdomen, the back is yang, the chest and abdomen is yin. The chest and abdomen are yin, so the yin meridian travels in front, the yang meridian travels at the back. Yang meridian. The yang meridian travels in the lateral sides of the limbs. The lateral side is here. So when you turn the palm facing each other, these are all outsides, and the medial side is inside, and the yang meridian travels here. It's the outside. Here is the inside. That's in meridian. So all the yang meridians travels lateral side of the limbs and the face and trunk. So that's the general distribution, yin and yang. So remember, yin meridian travels in the medial sides and the chest and abdomen. Yang meridian travels in the lateral sides and the head and face. That's yang area. So here, you're going to remember the terms of yin and yang. Why we introduce yin and yang at the beginning? It's because we're going to use a lot. On the other side, will be the same, just like the mirror. So in order to remember them, in the next video, we're going to introduce how to remember these lines, these meridians, and what's the characters of these meridians.